Hey everyone, what is going on? I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and today I want to go over a little bit of eclipse season preparation, eclipse season 101, if you will, just to ease any worries. I often get a lot of questions because people, whether it's in the past or currently, there's a lot of information. So let's just break it down very, very easily. Before I jump into this, I am hosting two live full moon gatherings to celebrate and honor the upcoming full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. The two events are going to be happening on Sunday, March 24th and Monday, March 25th. I wanted to have two different days with two different times, and that way I'm doing my best to accommodate all the time zones. So the one on Sunday is happening at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The one on Monday is happening at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So max 6 tickets available for each event. That way it's small, it's intimate. Everyone has a chance to express how they're feeling, ask any questions regarding the astrology, if they want some tarot cards pulled or just general one-on-one support. In the past, these have often been really great containers, and I've often found that people are in very similar spots or that can offer wisdom to one another so that everyone benefits quite immensely. So if you're curious about that, I'll put the links to those events in the description of this video. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. So with eclipses, oftentimes they are very loud or very noticeable, especially if you have your sun, rising, or moon in the sign of the nodes. So the north node and the south node. Currently, the north node is in Aries and the south node is in Libra. So we're going to be having the eclipses in those signs. So what does that mean if we break it down? With regards to the nodes in evolutionary astrology, these can be fated points or where things are increasing, the north node, or decreasing the south node. We can also look at it with the north node of creating new habits, new structures, this forward momentum, and the south node where we might be reworking these old habits, these old structures that have kept us safe in the past, but are no longer working. So if we're even just looking at the axis of Aries and Libra, Aries has this courageous, fiery, warrior-esque spirit. It wants to carve out new identities, new ways of doing things, new ways to be happy and excited. If we're looking at Libra, represented by the scales, what is being balanced? What are we comparing ourselves to? Are things fair? Are things just? Even just asking yourself, am I happy? Am I overwhelmed? Am I stressed? Where am I spreading myself too thin? Where is my identity, Aries, no longer making me feel fulfilled or whole, Libra? And so again, if you have prominent Aries or Libra energy in your chart, it's likely that you're already feeling the effects of these eclipses or the eclipse season in general. Now, with regards to all cardinal signs, not just Aries, Libra, but Cancer and Capricorn, these are all going to be strongly affected, especially on the days of the eclipses. So the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra is happening on Monday, March 25th. The new moon solar eclipse in Aries is happening on Monday, April 8th. So especially on those days, we are going to feel a surge of energy. And sometimes people feel like nothing really happens during eclipse season or on the eclipse, but I would venture a guess that something is going on eternally, something is shifting. And I think sometimes, whether it's in the esoteric realm, the spiritual realm, or even like in the self-help realms, we think it has to be something big or momentous, like a new job or lots of money that's creating these huge shifts in our life. But what about just changing one habit? What about putting up one boundary? What about just feeling good when you wake up in the morning? Isn't that something very long lasting, or has the potential to be long lasting, or something that we all strive for, or that can make such a massive difference just in how you move through the day? And so it's when we do these little things that will amass to huge change over time. And even the reverberations of the eclipses will then go outwards for weeks and months after. But like I said, sometimes it's very loud and very obvious. So I'll give a personal example. My moon is in Aries and it's in my fourth whole sign house where you find home, family, and dwelling. And I'm literally moving during eclipse season. So I'm letting go of so many things, Libra. Even I'm selling a lot of clothes as well, and just all these different things that I'm like, no, this no longer serves me. It doesn't really feel like me, Aries, to then move. It was also actually crazy, like the lease and everything for this particular unit that I'm moving to in Toronto, it became available on April 8th, which is the day of the new moon solar eclipse. So sometimes it really is uncanny how these dates line up synchronistically. Now, some frequently asked questions that I get. People ask, should I not manifest during the eclipses? Aren't we always manifesting your thoughts, your actions, even how you dress in terms of embodying something specific? When you go to the club or the bar, you're dressing yourself, you're putting your hair, if you're doing makeup, your shoes, everything to feel a certain type of frequency, whether you want to feel relaxed, whether you want to feel sexy and attractive, whether you're wanting to feel like you just want to have a good time, whatever that is, you're attaching yourself to a certain frequency and thus calling in, manifesting a certain outcome for that night. I'll often compare it in terms of, let's say I'm moving, right? Which is happening during eclipse season. I'm probably not thinking of moving again while I'm already moving. I'm getting excited and I'm enjoying that process. So I'm not manifesting a new home. I'm probably just enjoying the current moment of me moving to a new space. If you're on a holiday and you've worked really hard, you've saved the coins, you're on this beautiful beach, it's unlikely that you're like, oh, let's plan another holiday in 6 months and get all the specific, like, let's look at the hotels, look at the meals, look at the excursions. That wouldn't really make sense. Like, you're on this vacation, enjoy this vacation for what it is. Then when you get home, if you feel called to in 6 months, plan the next holiday. Now, let's say that you're on a beach and you're like, oh, I need to plan the plane to my next destination in 2 days because I'm leaving here and I need to get ready. That would be like saying, okay, you're moving and now you're buying the bed frame. Of course, all these things are going to happen. You're calling in new energy. However, I would also reflect if you're someone who's like really manifesting something specific on the day of the eclipse. Is this something that's already coming in? Is this an opportunity for you to just sit and be in that frequency without having to force or do anything? If you're already there and being like, this is already happening, this is already good. How is my external reality shifting? What is my external reality telling me whether I'm getting closer to this goal or not? You don't need to force, you don't need to do any specific rituals per se, because a lot of astrologers will say that eclipses specifically on the day, and I would even say the day before and the day after, can have such intense frenetic energy, not even just for the individual, but for those that you're around. Like even just on a regular full moon, people often feel the heightened emotions of those around them. So on an eclipse, where the light of the sun and the moon is being swallowed or stolen, however you want to phrase it, with that light being taken away, it's always an invitation to go inward. Like when it's dark outside, when it's dark in your room, when it's dark in general, it's like, okay, maybe I'm not necessarily able to see what's right in front of me, but I know how I feel, or I know that I need to take shelter, or I know that I just need to go inward to reflect. It's like when you close your eyes when you're meditating, you really feel how your body's feeling, or you feel how your mind is reacting to being in that period of stillness. So even just breaking that down, if light is being stolen and you physically can't see what's in front of you, would it make sense to do all this manifestation on the day of an eclipse? Likely not. It would be advantageous to wait and see where the chips fall, or to finish the movement that you're currently in. And then once everything is back on track, and even going into May specifically, May, we have some of the best transits of 2024, which is something we'll talk about when we get there. Another common question I get in terms of the eclipse is like, is this bad? I feel like everyone's talking about this. Like, what can I expect? And again, we touched on this a little bit before, but you get to enjoy all these things. I feel like oftentimes, like I said, if you have dominant cardinal energy or dominant Libra or Aries energy, it will be very obvious what you're dealing with. It'll be very loud. It'll be very clear. And so you just get to address that, enjoy that, work with that energy fully. And if you don't have a lot of cardinal energy, if you don't have any Aries or Libra energy in your chart, then look specifically at those houses in your natal chart that are ruled by Aries and Libra. Generally speaking, with the North Node in Aries, there's going to be a surplus or an increase in that Aries part of your chart. And then there's going to be a decrease or a letting go, or quite literally a rebalancing of the Libra ruled part of your chart. So let's just give an example of this. Let's say that Aries rules your ninth house, Libra rules your third house. So the ninth house has to do with higher learning, foreign travel, publishing, editing, storytelling. And the third house has to do with writing, communication, neighborhood, community, siblings, rituals. So if we're talking about maybe you are now working for a local paper, but you want to expand, you want to have your voice and your words out there on a more global scale. Maybe you're applying or interviewing for jobs and you're getting poached by an international news syndication, or you're wanting to start a podcast to allow your voice to be heard on a global level, not just at a local level, which would be that third house energy, so that you wouldn't just be the key writer for this one place in this one city. You are now forging a new identity that is going to be calling in new focus, new energy, new power on a global level, that ninth house energy. And maybe you're going to be traveling a lot. Maybe you're doing different conventions. Maybe you're meeting new people. Maybe you're calling in a mentor to help foster this change so that how you speak, third house being communication, is going to be completely different, because you're not just dealing on maybe a smaller local level, you're going much bigger. Okay. So like I said, even if you don't have prominent cardinal energy or Aries and Libra energy, it's going to be affecting those two houses, especially on the days of the eclipses. So just being an observer, just seeing what's going on, and then you can adjust accordingly. Now, one thing I mentioned on my stories yesterday, and I've been getting a lot of questions about, is in terms of beauty elections, beauty procedures, and how to navigate this. And I'm very, very passionate about this. My natal Venus is in Libra. And I've also worked with a lot of clients who get beauty procedures or have had things that didn't go well and they've had to get a second or a third surgery to correct certain things, or they've had a bad experience with Botox or filler and it really turns them off, really scares them to go back. And it's interesting in the climate that we're in today in terms of beauty procedures versus where we were maybe 10, 15 years ago, more normalized, more accepted. But I just think as a blanket notion, it takes a lot of courage to want to change anything about yourself, to forge a new identity about how you look, who you are, how you act, how you speak, all of these things, which is very in line with Aries and what we're speaking about as a general theme with these eclipses. Now, with regards to beauty elections, when the South Node is in Libra, we have to be particular and cautious, because when we're talking about beauty and aesthetics, balance, that's all Libra. And so to have us be in eclipse season, which is heightened energy to begin with, and then we have the South Node in Libra, and we're going to be having this full moon lunar eclipse in Libra on Monday, March 25th. It's just something that I personally would avoid entirely. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a professional astrologer who has worked with a lot of clients, especially in this regard. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that Mercury is already in its pre-retrograde shadows. It's going to station retrograde on the 1st, 2nd of April, depending on time zones. Now, we don't fear retrogrades. However, Mercury aids in precision. So now we have eclipse season, and then we have Mercury going to be retrograde pretty much throughout the entirety of eclipse season. And then last of all, Venus is currently in Pisces. She's conjunct Saturn, which isn't the worst, but in terms of taking caution, slowing down, that is a very literal manifestation of Venus conjunct Saturn. And second of all, Venus is soon going to ingress into Aries on the 5th of April. And Venus has weak dignity in the sign of Aries. So now we have this trifecta of things that are cautioning us or even telling us to maybe hold off on any type of beauty election. And I'm also including Botox and filler in this, and any major surgery where you're trying to add something. Absolutely not, in my opinion, because the South Node in Libra is about releasing and letting go. So if we're trying to add something to create more harmony, balance, or aesthetically pleasing features, it's counterintuitive. Plus Venus in weak dignity, plus Mercury retrograde. Like I'm saying, there's so many good transits in May. Mercury stations direct on the 25th of April. Venus moves into Taurus on the 29th of April. And once we get into Taurus season, which is around April 20th, then we're going to be out of this eclipse season energy. So we kind of see it's like April 20th, we leave eclipse season, move into Taurus season. The 25th of April, Mercury stations direct. And the 29th of April, Venus then moves into one of her strongest signs of Taurus, where she's going to be co-present Jupiter. That's a phenomenal time in May to get any of these procedures done, if you so choose. All right. So to recap this, there's a lot of good energy that is going to be happening during eclipse season, always. No matter what, even if it feels challenging or painful, these are things that are going to happen. Eclipses happen every 6 months. You are manifesting and cultivating energy for yourself every single day in the way that you breathe, the way that you think, the way that you dress, all of these things on the exact days of the eclipses, Monday, March 25th and Monday, April 8th. Be an observer, be curious, see what energy is moving so that you can calibrate accordingly. And last of all, in terms of anything that you want to get more specific with and seeing what area of your life this is going to happen, so maybe you can plan ahead or hone in on that curiosity, then look to the Aries ruled part of your natal chart and the Libra ruled part of your natal chart, because that's going to give you exact areas where this energy is likely already manifesting and happening, or where you can prepare accordingly. And if you're wanting a little bit of extra support for this upcoming full moon lunar eclipse in Libra, I am hosting those 2 live Zoom gatherings on Sunday, March 24th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Monday, March 25th at 7 p.m. East, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And any questions on the material discussed today, eclipses, or the full moon gatherings, let me know in the comments. I'm wishing you all a beautiful, transformative, fabulous eclipse season, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.